All right, hello everyone. My name is Rachel. This is my Minecraft project that I created for my students. So what I chose to do was I chose to have the students create museum displays within a museum within Minecraft. So I'm just going to kind of show you my structure here. I created the base museum, and right before this lesson we'll have been studying industrialization, so the influx of people to cities, industrialized nation, technology, all of these things, and then from that we'll move into this bridge assignment where students will be studying the technologies that really influenced the world and kind of led up to part of the things that led up to World War I, etc. And so they'll be focused on these different technologies, and they'll be tasked with creating a museum display including artifacts, which that's what they'll be building with Minecraft, and within those artifacts they'll be asked to describe how that technology influenced the world, both in the short term and the long term, how people communicate with one another, etc. So the different technologies will have different places within the museum, and I realized that the museum itself that I created may not be big enough for all of their artifacts, so they may have to add on to this museum. There's plenty of space to do that. So that's something that I just kind of thought about as I was building it. But what students will see when they come in, they'll be divided into groups of three, so 3 students, and to kind of differentiate and also make sure that students are up for the task, I would create groups where I would have various levels of students with historical context as well as gaming capabilities. So at the very beginning of this Minecraft assignment, I'll have students get on and create a couple basic structures in a creative mode just to see where they are as far as gaming goes. I expect that some students are going to be way advanced, and some students are going to maybe never have had experiences kind of like I had never had experiences. So I'll try to kind of split up those students so that they are able to learn in a different way and from each other. So that's one way I'm just going to kind of divide students to make sure that everyone has a little bit of experience with this. So as you walk into the museum here, you will see that I've divided up, there's a little table for each of the technologies that we're going to have students focus on. So over here, you'll see we have, I wrote on these little signs, the airplane is one of the technologies that influenced. Over here is cinema. And then as you move over here, I am not very good at moving around this world. Atomic energy. Get off the table there. And over here we have electricity is another technology. And so each of these groups, again, is a group of 3 students that will be working on this one topic. An automobile. And over here is radio communication. So all of these technologies really changed the way that the world interacted. And so students are going to be tasked with creating artifacts. For example, over here, they're going to probably create an automobile, something that looks like early automobiles. And in that, you can use descriptions to explain how those artifacts represent that technology and how that technology influenced the world. So again, the students may have to add on to this museum, and that'll be totally permissible because I have an automobile and an airplane, which I would expect to be really large. But in this group work, they're going to be creating these museum displays, and then after they're done creating the museum displays, they're going to be asked to go around and view their classmates' displays. Through dialogue text, I'm going to ask the students to interact with one another in Minecraft and talk about, and they have to ask at least 3 questions to other artifacts, displays of other students in the class. And from all of that information that they gather, from the information they gather from the students' displays and the information they gather from their discussions, they're going to write a reflection paper, just a 5-paragraph paper, where they're going to talk about the influence of this early 20th century technology on the world, not only as it bridges to World War I, but also in the long term, and how this really affected the way that the world interacts with one another, and the lasting effects of some of these technologies. So again, this was a challenge for me to build this structure. I learned a lot of key things about Minecraft, but honestly, in a couple weeks, I was able to navigate this pretty well. So I would expect that my students, who a lot of them already have a leg up on me as far as gaming and things like that, would be able to figure this out pretty easily as well, especially with the help of their peers. And I think that especially today, where we are interacting with our students more and more on using technology with COVID and everything and the unknowns of those, I think this is actually a really cool way for students to kind of have that sandbox play where they are interacting with one another on, without too many regulations and restrictions, and the sky's kind of the limit as far as what their creativity could bring to these museum displays. So I think this is a really cool assignment for students, and I can see many more things like this being, kind of a powerful way to bring history to life. So again, this is my technology museum, and I just made a nice little hole over there. That's okay. I'll fix that later. But I think this is a pretty cool thing. I like the columns, and I like that you can kind of start from scratch here and build whatever it is you want. I'm sure my students, as time goes on, might be able to also create something even a little more creative than this museum, and having them interact with their own education and their own learning in a real way like that, I think would be pretty powerful. So again, this is my museum and the lesson that I planned, and thank you for listening.